What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including Roman Reigns' surprise opponent for Hell in a Cell, WWE superstars are angered by Mr. McMahon, the 2021 WWE Draft, SummerSlam plans changing, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Now let's hit the intro and get straight into the first story. Now, our first story looks at Roman Reigns' surprise opponent for Hell in a Cell leaked. I'm wondering what's next for the Universal Champion Roman Reigns? Well, according to Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer, the WWE is planning for Rey Mysterio to challenge the Tribal Chief at WWE's latest pay-per-view at the Thunderdome. If you watched the 4th June SmackDown or watched our video analysis of the show, you know that Roman Reigns attacked SmackDown Tag Team Champions Rey and Dominic Mysterio during their title defense against the Usos. The WWE planted the seeds for the match on Smack Talk when Reigns' advisor Paul Heyman cautioned Rey, saying, "You're a legend, breaking your son into this industry, and you're coming up against a tribal chief, and what happened last night was on a whim. It was the temper of the head of the table because he felt his family was disrespected and you're gonna come for revenge. You haven't declared your mission, your vendetta yet, Rey. Don't make this mistake, please. I implore you, I beg you, and I'm not a begging man. Don't make the mistake of thinking that the next time Roman Reigns decides to target you or your son, that it won't be strategized in advance." This could be an interesting match for two reasons. The first is how it could play into Rey and son Dominic's current reign as tag team champions. Will Rey get brutalized at Hell in a Cell, either forcing him to vacate the titles or make him easy prey for whomever challenges him and Dominic Mysterio? The second is whether any title loss could lead to heat between Dominic and Rey as an overprotective Rey fights on Dominic's behalf. The third is whether Brock Lesnar will show up after Hell in a Cell to confront Reigns, or perhaps even John Cena. Both superstars' names have come up as potential opponents for the head of the table at SummerSlam. While Rey Mysterio has the proverbial snowball's chance in hell of defeating Reigns, his ability to take bumps and his talent for hope spots could make this entertaining, albeit a very predictable match. Next up, WWE superstars angry with Vince. A new rule from Mr. McMahon has upset some WWE superstars as the company prepares to return to events with fans present. PW Insiders reporting that Vinnie Mac has ordered WWE superstars attend workouts to hone their wrestling skills. PWInsider.com is told that the workouts could begin as early as next week, with talents taking part in drills and perhaps even matches in order to make sure their ring work is sharper. This is believed to be a Vince McMahon edit. The workouts would take place on days talents aren't booked for television tapings. According to Meltzer, some superstars are none too pleased at the idea of traveling from their homes located outside Orlando to make a special trip to the PC. Do you think the WWE superstars need to work on their ring skills considering they've worked through the pandemic, or is Vince just being Vince? Next up, the 2021 WWE Draft. Get ready for some talent trades, as the Mat Men podcast's Andrew Zarian is reporting the WWE is planning the 2021 Draft. Zarian recently tweeted, "Hearing the WWE Draft is scheduled for 30th August and 3rd September. The WWE Draft has become a tradition where wrestlers bounce back and forth between Raw and SmackDown with no rhyme or reason, and often no long-term consequences for their character. Nonetheless, the WWE must feel it's worth a ratings bump, even if it is yet to figure out how to execute it in an exciting and entertaining way." Are you guys looking forward to this year's draft? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, a short SummerSlam. It looks like the WWE is making adjustments to this year's SummerSlam. Now that SummerSlam's venue at Las Vegas' Allegiant Stadium has been announced, fans are curious how the WWE intends to deal with the Manny Pacquiao vs. Errol Spence Jr. fight that is taking place at Vegas the same night. Naturally, the WWE doesn't want to force fans to pick one event over the other, so rumor has it they have plans on having the show end in plenty of time for fans to make the boxing show's main event after SummerSlam, assuming fans can afford to choose both rather than one over the other. Dave Meltzer noted on the Wrestling Observer Radio that the WWE was asked to make sure SummerSlam ends before the Pacquiao vs. Errol Spencer Jr. fight airs, the idea being the fans could make it to the show in time. According to Meltzer, the WWE mulled over the idea of airing the show somewhere besides Vegas, especially after the Allegiant Stadium management asked them to run the show on Saturday rather than Sunday. According to Wrestling News' Paul Davis, it's expected that there will be somewhere around 60 to 70,000 fans in attendance for SummerSlam, and John Cena vs. Reigns is the rumored main event. The idea is that since they couldn't get a full house for WrestleMania, that they will do a WrestleMania caliber show with SummerSlam in the stadium. This situation seems odd when you look at the big picture. First, the WWE is starting the show at 8 PM rather than 7 PM, which, while normal for a Big Four show, makes no sense if you're looking to give boxing fans time to leave a legit stadium and head to the fight. Second, how many people are willing to go to SummerSlam and then attend a boxing event where you'll miss a major part of the show? Although boxing undercards can be less appealing than wrestling undercards, it seems unlikely that someone would fork over the dough to attend SummerSlam and scramble to only catch the main event. It's likely the WWE isn't worried about wrestling fans choosing the boxing show over SummerSlam when it comes to attending the shows. As for pay-per-view, the cost for Peacock is negligible, so if a boxing fan wanted to watch the fight on pay-per-view, they could either watch SummerSlam later or tune into the boxing main event after SummerSlam. We think the WWE is making the minimal effort to please Las Vegas power brokers by claiming they'll end the show in time for the fight. Do you think the boxing show will affect SummerSlam's audience? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, the WWE has no plans for Big E. Bad news for Big E, as Ringside News is reporting the WWE currently has no plans for the recent IC champion. It looked like the WWE was setting things up for a major program between Big E and Aleister Black after the Dutch Destroyer returned at Backlash, laying Big E out during his bid for the Intercontinental Championship. The feud fizzled, of course, when the WWE released Black last week. So what's up with Big E? Well, Ringside News' Steve Carrier reports, "We've asked about Big E's situation since he missed SmackDown. We were told he was left off the show because Vince McMahon hasn't signed off for a new feud. Aleister Black was left off the week after his debut because his release was already decided on." The site also noted it has nothing to do with his job being at risk. He simply didn't have anyone to feud with yet. It looked as if Big E was leaving his feud with current IC champion Apollo Crews, so who he battles next could be anyone's guess. With Rey Mysterio set to face Reigns next, a filled time until the rumored SummerSlam match against John Cena or Brock Lesnar, it's difficult to think of who Big E might face other than resuming his feud with Apollo Crews. The WWE certainly shouldn't be putting Big E into the ring with Roman Reigns, as that is a match worth saving, and a loss to Reigns would set Big E's current push back. At the same time, the WWE needs to find a strong program for Big E to sustain the momentum he's had since his singles push began last fall. And finally, Matt Cardona's crazy heat. And last but not least, Matt Cardona got some nuclear level heat recently when he appeared at the Game Changer Wrestling Zombie Walk show attacking Nick Gage. Ringside News reported on what happened. Gage was in the ring during Zombie Walk and then a cloaked figure joined him. This new figure moved like Moxley and hit Gage with a paradigm shift. Then the masked man revealed himself to be Matt Cardona. Cardona drew incredible heat from the live crowd. Chants of F Zack Ryder rang out as he egged the crowd on. Matt Cardona was living it up as a heel who just pulled one over on the crowd and Nick Gage. It looks like Cardona had no problem angering the fans, a talent any good heel should have if they want to get over. But there you have it, guys, the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.